Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time today. It really feels like a full circle moment that 5 years back I was sitting in your class, and today we are having conversation on marketing and industry.
So same with me. I also feel like my students are growing and they are into such kind of promotions of ideas and through multiple channels, not just in a classroom or going to executive, but through a platform. We are trying to spread the message. So I love the way you all are growing, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Same here. So let's start the questionnaires.
Yeah, sure.
So my first question is, when I was sitting back in your class, like in 2021, like 5 years back, AI was just getting started, and today it is everywhere. So, according to you, how do you think it has changed consumer behavior or analyzing consumer behavior? Has it made any difference in the whole process or
The consumer behavior was always about analyzing what makes consumer attached to your brand, love your brand, or what makes them continuously, regularly purchasing your brand once they initiate it. So if I talk about initial concept of the understanding consumer was what kind of personality your consumers are having, or how did they learn about your product, and what made them change their attitude towards your product. So the conceptually the decision making part or attitude formation or learning remains as it is. The thing with the AI has changed is knowing your consumer. Initially, consumer purchase pattern was studied through a research. A very important aspect of consumers and analyzing their purchase pattern is knowing your consumers. That's what we are trying to capture in consumer behavior study. So this has changed a lot with the entry of AI. So initially when we used to do the research work, it was more observational within a mall, or you do a focus group analysis, talk to people, do a proper survey, and then collect the data and trying to understand and review it. Now, with the entry of artificial intelligence into it, things have changed because initially there was a mass communication. Advertising would come across in through television, telesoaps, or some kind of news channels. So it was flooded. This all whole television programs were flooded with advertisement, and then we had to wait to understand whether this message is actually reaching to the consumers or not. Now with the AI into the market and the mobile, the electronic gadgets with us, that gives you a prompt immediately, the personalized message, which has initiated to understand whether they are liking it or not. Within a few seconds AI will generate, okay, this group of consumers are liking your this messages, or these are the patterns of message they appreciate, they love it. So these are the a few focus areas which AI has made it very convenient. Plus they tell you which type of purchase pattern they are following. So if I'm on my Instagram, they will know, they will try to analyze what am I liking, how many seconds I was into that particular app, and what I was liking. So what kind of packaging I like, what kind of colors I'm liking. So if a brand or a company knows their target audience, and if they incorporate a proper analytical pattern, AI will generate a proper data to tell you that this kind of message this group of people like, this kind of packaging, this kind of color in packaging or the product design they like. They are sustainable people, they like fast fashion, they like slow fashion. They will give me a complete profile of your target audience. Within few seconds they can do this. Now with entry of AI, the research part becomes very convenient. The only part of AI is how good you are to prompt it correctly. Right. So if you're prompting AI in the correct pattern, I think it can generate this data. So analysis of your consumers has become little easier. But that doesn't take away the theory part. You have to understand what is attitude formation, what is, how do consumer learn, right? But this AI will help you to understand this in a better form. So data generation and data analytics, I think that has AI has made our life much easier in that particular area.
So, based on your answer, if I can conclude in 2 points, that to use AI better, you need to know two things. One, your consumer.
Or you can also ask AI to generate a kind of knowledge about who could be my target audience. But then you have to give a product design proper, that my product is A, sustainable, my product is B, it is related to fashion, my product is about skincare, my product is about a particular female or male, whatever gender you want. So if then you have to give your consumer profile properly, and then ask AI to tell me कि if this is my profile, how many of such consumers are liking a kind of color in a packaging or kind of packaging, or what kind of product they will prefer if this is the area, right? So proper prompt, and then AI can also, so vice versa it can do. So it's a bundle of data, that's what will help you to generate a good output of exact target audience, who are it, how are they, what are their willingness, and that can lead you to a proper formation of your whole product in the total sense. If I say, even for pricing, what kind of pricing your consumers, if you know your target audience and you ask AI what kind of pricing they are buying on Instagram, right? Now the billing also comes on your WhatsApp and your messages. So your mobile has been read. We feel that nobody is reading it, but AI is reading your mobile. So they know, okay, if they go to mall, what kind of purchase they are doing, what amount of purchase they are making from Instagram page, what kind of product plus the price they are paying to the malls, right? So you know that which audience, what amount they are paying into the offline purchase, what kind of purchase they are doing online, how much quick commerce are they using. So these all data generation can happen. So you know which place I should place my product. So should I go with Instagram creation of ad, or my audience is offline more, or my audience is on quick commerce more? This will generate a proper data to make you know which place, what amount of efforts. I think efforts is a better word, to make a product, to distribute a product, to package a product. All this can be generated and you get that idea.
So, overall, AI enhances the basic 4 P.
Basic 4 Ps, everything, not only 4 Ps, even the personalized content, right? So yes, it helps you to learn about your consumers in a better way, and which will lead you to designing. Of course, if you tell them, okay, what kind of designs in my product they would like it, so they will give you that nitty-gritties also. Okay, these are the, if this is your target audience, this kind of product they want, and this has to be a part of your product. Of course, the designing part is on us, but they can help you in knowing your consumers better. Or else, on the other side, if you have a product ready, it will help you to know your, okay, for this kind of product, where is my consumer? Right. So this way, a good map, the gap which is there to understand and to sell the product, that AI can help you a lot in this area.
I remember, like in 2021, when I used to sit in your class, we used to do so many case studies, and then you used to give us worksheets where then we analyze and give answer of some questions related to those case studies. So specifically, I want to ask that when you analyze case studies about some ads or campaigns that didn't work out, uh, most of the time, what is the reason for the same? Is it because that the overall creative was not prepared well, or is it because the brand didn't catch the consumer at the right time, or they were at the wrong mindset?
So basically, when I talk about the failure campaigns or a product, there are, I think, few reasons for which this thing may not be working. So I think first thing is, for startups. Basically, if you talk about a startup, uh, I have seen in current market that people are very attached towards their product. And what happens, like, I like to make this, I want to make this, I feel it. So the I part is very strong here. And we need to understand that product can be, nowadays products are made very nicely, and they are very good, thinking about the quality, the kind of designing and all. But we fail to understand it is as the market where you are pitching into, does that market want it? Right. So there has to be mix and match. So match the following. So here is also the game. I usually talk about this in class also. It's a match the following thing. So there are A, B, C, D, E, F, and there are other topics over here like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you match it right, I think that makes the whole strategy work out. So sometimes, even if certain things we talk about what should we do, I think marketing strategy is also to know what we should not do. Right. So, like, there are certain products which we need to first of all understand the macro market also, right? So the external environment, what it is very dicey. I know initially when for the marketeers 10 or 15 years back, the market was totally different, but here the market is dynamic. We have to understand that the present era marketeers do have this problem that even the external market, we don't know tomorrow what government is going to come up with a decision. How is ecology, the environment also is working. Suddenly COVID comes, right? Suddenly some big medical issue comes up. Suddenly a war starts happening, which is absolutely not in our control, right? But we know that the market is dynamic. That is the knowledge that I'm having. So we have to plan for the contingencies, right? So in medical sense, in political sense, nothing is having a stable market nowadays. So accepting this would be a better part, right? And then in this scenario, we have to understand what would be the needs of the consumers. Right. And what are those things which are luxury to them? And what are those things which becomes a necessity to them? And what are those things which becomes an entertainment? So there is no more criteria like luxury and necessity. So what is entertainment to them? What is their bonding parts nowadays, right? So what are the areas they like? What are the areas they don't like to be now anymore a part to be? So these are the small analysis which we need to understand, and then try to design a product to bridge this gap from consumers to what they want. Right. So again, I come to those points where designing a product is not nowadays giving the technology and AI and so many mechanical and so many engineers. We all know how things are going into the market, and I don't doubt the intelligence of the current population. So sometimes we always say that the young generation is not doing it and they don't know it. But to my extent, I feel they know a lot. The problem is knowledge is too much to them, and they don't know how to work with that knowledge. So if they get this direction, they know what they want, and they're very clear what they don't want it. So giving an Indian market and a young population, and we are talking about this whole of the scenario, we need to understand that product designing is no more like make it perfect. Product design is more on what is that group of consumer is willing to get it. So if you know those consumers and their aspiration for a product, I think the designing of the product will happen in that way. Then you also need to know, okay, this product which I'm designing is a part of the target audience luxury, necessity, a commodity, a daily use, what it is for, right? And how much weightage in my group of consumers life I have for my product. So is it there every day 10% of consumption? Is it there every day 30% of consumption? Is it to promote their self image? Are they using, suppose if I'm a producer of a sari kind of brand, right? Then I need to understand that the group of consumers who are going to wear my sari, what purpose are they wearing for? Are they wearing to show themselves some kind of self image, or are they trying to show confidence within themselves, or are they trying to show Indianized factor to them, a culture attached to them? Are they going to wear it for, let's say, office wear, at home, for a function? In each of this place, what are they? The purpose of wearing the sari? If you know that, designing of sari will happen in that way, and you know the weightage of your one particular sari in their life for a day, you will start pricing it in that way, and then accordingly you will select a celebrity endorsement for that way. Accordingly you will make it color it in that particular way, right? So everything depends on when you understand your consumers and the weightage of those products. Now when I'm saying sari, it is not common, now it is so difficult, I understand, but even for a sari brand, you don't kind of make just one type of sari, right? You have to make for same consumer. So let's say Jhalak is buying it, but when I wear it to a marriage function, am I different in my purchase pattern? Am I buying it for my college function or university function? Am I doing different? If I go to a conference, am I wearing it in different purpose? So my purchase pattern would be different. So if you're not giving me this varieties, I for each variety I will keep shifting to another brands. For all this category, if I'm getting the products from you, I may do not shift the brand, and my brand loyalty increases rather than my product loyalty. Right. And we also need to understand that product life cycle. Okay, each product has its own life cycle. So in my wardrobe, each of this sari, how much life cycle it is going to hold it. So accordingly, my product designing will change. Their lifelong longevity will change. Accordingly, the price will change. And accordingly, I will think I'm paying this much amount. How many years I want this sari in my wardrobe? Right, and this way I can design. So it also comes to sustainability, because I'm too much into fashion and sustainable market. I also would have think of certain consumers. I know currently they are very less in the market, but when you go in future, it has to come to the consumer's mind that people are becoming conscious that I want to live a healthy life, and for that I need a healthy earth. Right. So people are slowly and gradually becoming conscious about the environment also, but they also want to be very conscious about their pockets. So I have to design certain kind of fashionable products, or any products which are not very harmful to the Mother Earth, right? And if that becomes a part of it, and I can still have a control on the monetary value, I think consumers will like it more, right? So when we are talking about certain campaigns, we have to understand okay, what is valuable to the consumers whom I am tapping to, and then accordingly I should design the product and not rush into making of a product, rather than do a proper research, know the consumers, know whom is the small group of consumers. I'm not saying now you cannot tap to a very big group, but you can have a different consumer segments made for yourself, and for each group of segment design a different product. I know it is costly not in the sense of money, but also from the time perspective, or also from designing perspective, also having this many amount of machine. But if you do it correctly, I think that small consumer, that niche consumer segments can also give you a very good result, because they feel कि यार इतना मेरे बारे में सोच के बनाया. So then I think that makes more sense to them, and consumers have flooded with brands, flooded with products. Now they are also confused. So if you cut through that confusion, then you become the brand.
So based on this conversation, I think taking sari as product, if we talk about Gen Z, they do want to wear sari, they like wearing sari, but then they also want that the sari shouldn't take more time to wear it, so they prefer ready to wear sari. Also sari that has pockets. Even in kurtis they want that the kurti should have pockets. So I think the way you talked about that, making sub segment of consumer and using the same product, but making it iterating it for the different types of consumer. So I think this makes more sense to me. Back of the mind, when I think about all this, I am getting answers to many of my questions that I had in my back of mind.
So that's why the sari brands, which are very popular sari brands, the old one, have started giving the ready to wear saris, right? They do charge for it. They do extra amount of it, but if you go and try to understand the survey, there would be so many people who are ready to buy such saris, right? And thus, and giving that extra price because consumers know and they do not hesitate for services. So everybody knew that on Swiggy and Zomato, the prices are higher. But at certain point, if I'm living in a, let's say, a PG, I have migrated from one place to another place, and I'm studying and I am hungry at night 12 o'clock. For my safety purpose, not just the convenience. Even for my safety purpose, I feel that. It's better to order through Zomato or Swiggy. And then they give that another time the problem came. So there was a problem and the brand is providing the solution. Okay, the problem came, the person who will come to deliver it may create a safety issue. So they said, okay, drop the option, you tick on the option that you drop outside the door, right? And they do it, they tick mark it, you get the understanding that after 5 minutes. So there are safety concerns of, so there is a problem, brand try to provide solution, there is a problem, so you don't say that no, I'm like this only. You find every year you try to improve yourself and tell the consumer. So I teach this in attitude formation, right? There are different attributes. Once when you produce a product, you cannot capture on all the attributes. So when you first of all put the product outside the market, you come with 5 attributes. Then you try to understand what is that one attribute or 2 attributes which the group of consumers are willing to get out of me, right? And then next year you come up with, or let's say after a few months you come up with a new product added to this. So it's not a new product but an attribute added to it. So look at Apple as a brand. So many years it has remained one of the I think one of the top brands, Google or Apple, both of them keep on that brand equity perspective. They reach in world brands, they are at the top. The reason is they never said we are perfect. Apple never said that I made a best product in the market and now I'm not ready to change. Otherwise, every September 12, people would not wait. What is new in Apple? Right? What is new in iPhone that is coming? So they have declared that date in full throughout that year. They think of what was still missing in my product and try to bring that in their product. Right? And therefore, every year people are ready to welcome it. Otherwise, I have invested in a huge amount into one product. Why would I again and again go to that brand? You have to give them that reason to come back to you and buy that same product from you again. And you have to do it first. You have to be fast, you have to do it first, then your competitor. Otherwise people will shift, otherwise people will believe that अच्छा ये हो गया, मैंने तो ये ब्रांड ले लिया, यूज कर लिया, अब इसमें क्या नया है, I move to another brand. We love changing. Current consumers are like कब शिफ्ट होते हैं, थक गए, बोर हो गए. The I think Gen Z is very quick on their changing pattern. Even with that reels 10 seconds में scroll कर दिया, नहीं अच्छा लगा तो. You have to make them stick to you and you have to find out the way rather than just complaining कि अरे attention span कम है. Now you know this is a problem, so find a solution to it. So it's important nowadays, I think, important to know what are the problems that are still prevailing and are not yet captured. And if you are holding on this, I think if you're telling them that story, you win the game.
So what we discussed was about generic consumer behavior. And even if we see around, we live in urban space and we see digitally native urban content. But is there any difference between urban audience and tapping into rural audience? And how do urban marketers tap into rural markets? And also, do you think people should, or the marketer should tap into the niche of rural market? Is there any scope for the same?
Of course, because we live in Indian community, right? It's an Indian market. So when we are talking specifically when about India, I think a huge population is into rural India. So we cannot say that any of the marketeers would never think about getting into the rural India. And basically, when we talk about rural market today in 2026, I think there is a huge change which I have tried to understand because I was going through an NABARD report on how the rural market is moving ahead. So we have seen a huge kind of growth in their disposable income. So when disposable income increases, we see that there is an increase in their own income, right? Plus they are greatly getting educated compared to what previously the rural India was, right? And we cannot forget that our major sales today also is about agriculture, and we need to thrive on those areas because as an Indian marketeer, I need to understand the gem of India is still in its own land, right? So I think every marketeer needs to understand that how to get the best out of this particular group of people which are still in rural market. And mostly like a few days back there was also a report that Gujarat and uh, Punjab, I think, basically is getting into like there is very less amount of rural market that we term it as rural market, right? And it's not only about rural market. When we see India, we also have semi-urban markets. We have markets which we call it as let's say two-tier, three-tier cities, right? So these all are becoming a part of India. So Indian market keep itself changing. I think within 50 kilometers away, 100 kilometers away, you can see a absolutely different dialect, absolutely different market, a group of consumers who are different. So, as a marketeer, we need to understand each of these consumers if you are planning to expand. Urban market is very limited. So, I would always say that when you are planning for longevity or when you are trying to reach out to the bigger market and you want to thrive for a longer period of time, there is no such thing that you can restrict yourself to the urban community. Depending on the rural community, if we move towards the understanding of rural community, it's I'm not saying that it is an easy task, but there are certain marketing agencies which are niche into that area. Of course people are very less known about it, but there are agencies who work with it because there are certain products which we call like insurance or sometimes even the FMCG product what Hindustan Unilever has been into this particular segment. The way of their selling absolutely different with Project Shakti when they came up to understanding how to penetrate in rural India. That's very tricky and very kind of I'm not saying it will take time, but if you understand them in the right manner, I think it becomes gives you a good pace to penetrate into this particular market also. So, yeah, of course, to understand them as a different community, you have to pitch them a product differently, you have to design the product differently, the packaging has to be different, the pricing of the same product has to be different, and how then you justify it. So, strategies over there changes, right? How to penetrate it. So, if you know your consumers well, in any of that market, I think you can make the product, design the product accordingly. And then when I say design the product, I'm not saying only the hardcore tangible product, but also their packaging, their the way you promote it. So sometimes very looks little different, but when we talk about Mahakumbh, right, the Kumbh Mela, we feel it as a Mela. But if you just open up your eyes as a marketeer, you will realize that it was a place where thousands and thousands of people all over the market, not only India, but from the world are coming. So that was a place where you have to, there were so many firms who were there in the market with a very open ideas. Look at the Favicol. Now, Favicol or Pidilite doesn't have the market who is going to, anybody who are there who is willing to get into using Favicol. But they were there portraying their message in very different way, right, creating a kind of t-shirt so that you have it, both of you wear it, so you don't lose yourself into the market. So there were very different campaigns that you create for those audience. So it's not about giving a different product, but presenting your product in a different manner, because as I told you, they learn differently, they understand differently, there are different personalities they live up to, right, that thought process is different. So even when you want to form an attitude towards your product, you have to understand them better. The better you understand them, the better you know the person who understands them better, they will help you to design your product accordingly, pricing, promoting. So when I took HUL, so if you Hindustan Unilever penetrated in Indian rural market much better than they did into the urban market. So they're more income. So even with ITC, right, so their major product is coming from rural market, and they design the products for rural market, like ITC e-chopal. It's a incredible case study which has been designed by ITC for the farmers, to help the farmers. And it's not that you are helping them without, it's not kind of philanthropy, but you are making them aware about the real system which pertains. So it's about giving them education and then helping them to save their own money and making, so bringing them more a self-respect kind of thing, that I also know it, that what is the reality which is moving around. And it was a far back that this project started, where farmers were not aware about the rates into the market, and they brought it like a computer, and there is every knowledge here, and then one person whom you ask, they will give you a complete detail. So they were earning out of spreading the knowledge. So you understand them, you know their problems. So nowadays when I talk about marketing, I don't say that you are dealing with just a 4P. Product is no more a product, it's the problem that you are solving. Right. So you are not telling somebody that, hey, see, this is a soap and this will be having a good type of smell. There is a color attached to the soap and it is used for bathing. You don't tell any time now the uses of the product. You tell them you have this problem and here is the solution that I'm bringing. Right. So you have the problem of germs. I think that is, I am coming with a soap which can kill the germs. So if you have a body odor as a problem, I'm coming with a soap which can help you deal with the body odor. So you tell what is the problem and then you provide them the solution. I think that would become a better way of marketing and creating the product for such kind of problem that prevails. So that will help. So for again, for those reasons, you need to understand what is the problem with the consumers. So that's what the whole process is.
Let's say
Right.
if I am selling, or if there is a brand who is selling intangible services like insurance, or a B2B product like a SaaS product or software, where consumers cannot touch or feel it. So when we are making ad for something like this, what are some must haves or some specific ingredients to create trust among consumers?
So basically, when you are saying the service-based firms, right? So service-based firms works with the trust. And to explain this in marketing, we usually follow the Kotler principle as holistic marketing. Now, in holistic marketing, it divides itself into four parts. So one is relationship marketing. So in that situation, to create this relationship, now relationship is not built between a product and the human, right? It is built between human and human only. To bring that relation of product to that human, also you need that human factor. So relationship marketing works very strongly. Now relationship with whom? So first comes your employee. So it is very important part that your employees are the face of the brand. So how you have trained them, how you have motivated them, and then how they represent your products in front of them, and what kind of relation they maintain. And therefore the CRM system of customer relationship management came into existence. Okay, you hold on that data, you regularly keep on meeting them, so they will create a kind of relation with you where when you propose certain products, instead of trusting the product, they will trust the employee, right? And thereafter they will trust the brand. Now getting into that brand comes the internal part. So this was about relationship. Now comes your internal, you can say, marketing, which you need to have it with your employees. How you are designing your product, how are they better than the outer external other brands which are prevailing into the market. Then after it comes to your integrated marketing communication, how you communicate. So through your employees, through the advertisements that you are creating, through the campaigns that you are creating, where are you placed, how is market responding to your product, right? People are not going to अच्छा relation अच्छा है तो मैंने उससे product ले लिया. They will also see के in market how is this product working. So you need to tap on to all these angles, areas to reach and build that trust within yourself. So I bought it, how I feel it. Now it also goes customer to customer majorly, right? So if I have bought it and I am satisfied, of course I will ask my business partner to get in touch with you. So you are not building the B2C or D2C kind of business, direct to consumers, right? Here you are going from consumer to consumer. So you are selling to one consumer. If that consumer has a good word of mouth, they say that this is a product you should buy, this is a person you should touch. They will ask the your employee to reach out to other consumer. Those consumers will believe what me as a consumer is speaking about the employee, about the product, about the brand, and it will make a whole chain of that consumers who are related within yourself. So integrated communication is not about advertising and what message you are passing on. It is also built on how customer is framing their language towards their employees, your employees or your brand, right? And that's how the whole uh, holistic marketing, and then you incorporate this with your performance, the last part of how your product is performing in the market. So if I'm buying an insurance, let's say when I'm going to get it, matlab, how am I going to use it when I am, so I've invested the money in insurance, which maybe after 5 years, after 10 years, when you are talking about term insurance, maybe after my death, right? So it's very tricky that I don't know the output and I'm investing a huge amount into it. So in these situations, your performance of the product needs to speak up. So you have to tell people that how convenient you are, even after certain years, how bonded you will remain to, how honest you will remain to your consumers till certain period of time, and that's how the whole build up of the relationship will happen with the consumers, right? So when you talk about any of the insurance company or such kind of product, they don't go direct to the consumers, they specifically go from consumer to consumers, right? And when they realize that that bonding already has been there, then there is no breaking the chain. All right, and these are not the products. So being difficult to enter the market and to achieve the consumer trust, it is also easy that this consumer will not shift to another brand. So everything has its own pros and cons. So once they are satisfied with you, they are not easily going to change the bonding and the relationship with the brand, right? And that's how you will make a whole scenario work out.
So if we talk about today's marketers, most of them still look at metrics like likes on videos, shares, number of comments. So are there any better or specific metrics they should be looking at rather than just this?
There are lot many metrics and depends on the firm also and the company and brand which they want it. But when you are talking about the social media, I think certain metrics are, if we categorize them, there are various categories which are prevailing. So one is to know whether the awareness about my campaign is there or not, in which you say likes, and that comes including to that how much the campaign has been talked about. So right now, if you remember, the Apollo campaign during the World Cup was there. So it was not talking about any of their product, but the campaign had such a way of storytelling that people started communicating about it a lot, right? So your campaign, how much everybody is being posting and sharing your campaign. So there is another matrix which we call it as traffic matrix and audience matrix. Now traffic is like if you remember, there is also some kind of links that you want to the major video is in this particular link, and how many of them go to that link. So link is given in the bio, and how many people reach out to that link and then read that link, and how many seconds they are reading that link. So that way you can understand what kind of traffic you are getting. Also, there is another kind of matrix that we call it as audience matrix. What age group? So all your demographics, what is their income status, and what kind of audience you are getting on this. So you match. Okay, I thought this was the audience, and actually who is getting attracted to the campaign. That. Second is also about the followers growth rate. So by posting this particular type of campaign, uh, did your followers increased? So that could be one of the metrics one can think about. Okay, after this campaign, how many followers? After this campaign, how many followers? And the last part would be the brand matrix. So from audience matrix, okay, how many people are returning to your post, and what kind of perception they are building out of your post becomes the brand matrix. The brand matrix depends upon your comments. So what kind of feedback and positive negative comments that you are getting. So if you go, and even the comments needs to be, so I think there are many series nowadays which was made. I was very attracted to this very popular small boy series was adolescent, and in that the whole police came to know about what this boy is feeling through the comments. So that is also one way. Okay, what kind of comments are shared between the audience? Is it positive, negative for that campaign? And that way also it can be designed. So certain campaigns which are presently for certain brands also there were few such thing where a brand was posting a particular advertisement and many people feel offended about a caste or let's say for gender, and they keep on shouting that this advertisement is misogynist and certain things, and suddenly that campaign has to stop. So one also has to think about the kind of comments that they are getting it to. So that will create a brand perception in the mind of the people. It's not about campaign, it's about brand, what brand is talking through that campaign. So that is also one of the metrics one can look for when it is a so there are many different, and nowadays so AI through AI also certain tools have been created to analyze your Instagram campaign or the Facebook campaign sentiment analysis, and there are many such tools which now are available. But to again to those tools you have to tell them okay, what you want to know about the campaign, and accordingly they will try to analyze it. So it's not just like, share and saved thing, or how much is your, what did you call it, comments, chats. So there are many different ways, and each of this matrix will try to tap the things in a different way.
So this was my last question, and overall the whole conversation was very insightful and very it like gave me all answers of my questions,
My pleasure.
and I'm very excited to go back and think again about all this insight that I get here today and apply it to the problem I'm trying to solve. So I would like to thank you again for your time, and we wish we can meet again someday.
Sure, anytime.